Today we're going to test the Milwaukee M12 Rover, pivoting Rover, and we're going to compare this against the old USB Milwaukee pivoting Rover. So the first thing we're going to do, let's check the brightness. So I'm going to turn off the lights. It is a light after all, and this is a 700 lumen Milwaukee M12 Rover. So I'll get that out of focus here. There we go. So that's 700 lumens, Milwaukee M12. It's a great light, very bright. Now, I'm going to knock that down to low mode, and I'm going to pull that out, and I'm going to try the USB Rover. USB Rover is 550 lumens. I almost think it's brighter. I'll show it in the picture for you there. 550 lumens, it is very, very bright. It does have 3 modes, which is a bit of a pain turning it off, but it's a very bright light. So I'll give you a couple comparisons. So M12, the big guy, and USB Rover. So when I look at a light, I'm looking at about 5 things. Let's put some light on here that are not our lights. I look at 5 things with a light. First is the brightness, and both of these are very good lights. 550 and 750 lumens. They're very bright. So, they're both great lights. They serve a purpose in both areas. The next thing I look for is the size. The smaller the light, the more effective in my opinion. If it's the same brightness, I'm looking for the smallest light with the same brightness that we can get because I can fit it in more areas. This USB Rover is much smaller than the M12, but the M12 has a longer battery life. So this kind of gives you an idea of size here. So for size, the USB Rover is a lot more compact. We can stick it if we're working under trucks. We can stick it in places. That's not to say the M12 sucks. It doesn't. It's very good. It's trading a little bit of size for longer duration battery, and that brings me to the third point. The third point is a good light should last a long time. And not just last a long time. The beauty about this M12 is the ability to use an M12 battery. When it's done, it's as simple as this, and you have a new battery for 2 hours, 5 hours, depending what mode you use it on. The problem with the Rover, the USB Rover, is it's like a AA battery. You got to pull this thing out, and you're clumsy. You're trying to line up this battery, and I don't like that. I don't like that design. This is an incredible light, but when they did this M4, it's a 4 volt. This should be quick swap. It should be able to go in and out just like the M12. So it's a big downside to this Rover. The modes are a good way to increase longevity too. The low modes, I would just go with 2 modes, but these both have their advantages. The next thing I look for, and this is a really big point here, especially for mechanics and people working on stuff, is the direction. So this is the pivoting ability. So this is the M12. Now they call it 110 degrees of pivoting because it can go from left to right. But here's the problem. It goes 110 degrees, but it's centered opposite to the magnet. So that means if I put this on a wall like this here, and I'm working below it, this light's shining right in my face. And that's a problem. Now, it's not the end of the world. We can position it in a decent area, but that's not a great idea. To contrast that, the USB Rover, if I have a magnet surface here, I can go over, like this is where the M12 would be, shining in your face. This can go over 90 degrees and point it at the area that we're working on. And it reflects back and floods out the area we're working on. And it doesn't blind you. So what I would have done, obviously the Rover here, the USB Rover is way better in this regard. Getting into tight spaces, directing your light, having the ability to manipulate the light where you want it, and it's just more mountable. That's a huge advantage to this light. What I would recommend Milwaukee have done is instead of mounting this in the middle, I would have mounted the edge here so that when we pivot, let's see if I can give you an example. I'm going to give you an example on an old battery here. So we got an M12 battery. Now imagine this is the magnet on the bottom. Now, instead of being in the middle where we would only pivot like this, I would have pivoted it right here so that we could pivot all the way up and over. So that if you're working on an area, you're able to take that light and shoot it all the way over. Okay, so if you're on the side, you can shoot it all the way over. Just like the Rover. Right, so if you've got the USB Rover, you got a light here, you can go all the way over and it's not in your eyes. So I think they could have done that on the M12 and made it a little bit better, but it's a great light. The next thing is price. They're both good. US, Canada is all different pricing, so I think this was $80, the M12, and the other one might have been 80 to 100, and it's aging out. But they're both really good batteries. Really good lights. I mean, each have a purpose. The quick swap ability for these, for using it, for this M12, using it all day is great. But the nimbleness of the Rover is unmatched. So I think if Milwaukee really wants to improve, they could check those two areas, work on a quick swap idea on this smaller battery, on this smaller light system, M4, whatever you want to call it. And on this here, the light's great. Make it a little smaller and let it flip over, and I think they'd really take this over the top. But it's a great light. I think you can use both these lights and make a really good, have a really good time with them. So hope that review helped. I try and keep it to the point. No more nonsense. I'll give you one more clip with the lights off. M12. And Rover. Two together. You don't even notice me adding the M12. So they're both very bright. That's about 15 feet away to the front wall and 30 feet to the back into the crawl space. So these are awesome lights. Pick either one up wherever you want. I'll put some links below, and hopefully this helped. Bye.